I'm Janet.
I'm Jacia.
I'm Rachel, and this is Walk is Happening. So today we'll be talking about first impressions. Do you think they matter, and what we think about our first impression on others? So, Janet, should we hear from you first?
Well, I would be lying if I said first impressions don't matter. Like, obviously, they matter. Like, I feel like first impressions are really important, and I find myself or referring to my first impressions of other people to kind of make a judgment on them, even though I know I shouldn't be. And I often do that, maybe even if my interaction with them is really, really short, and upon like really superficial things, like maybe what they're wearing, what they said, how they interacted with me, and stuff like that. What about you guys?
Well, I think I do agree because then even I know some people say, "Oh, first impressions don't matter. It matters like what you do after, right?" But I think in terms of okay, I guess in high school, I think first impressions and really what the whole very gossip culture is sort of important. But I think that well yeah, I mean, it's a first impression. So, I mean, what else are you supposed to think of that person if you think that first impressions don't matter, Because it's not like you're going to be friends with everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think there isn't a really kind of set image you give others. I think it really depends on who they are. Like if I'm talking to someone and they're quite similar to me, like they have similar hobbies or they like similar things, and I think I would give off more of a quote unquote good first impression because I'm able to be more open and I'm able to crack some jokes. But if it's with someone who perhaps maybe it's also because of first impressions, but I think that they're perhaps very smart and very condescending, then I might be a lot more, I don't know, introverted, and I think I might not leave a good impression on them. So I think it really depends on the type of people, but I try my best to leave the impression that I'm open and also I'm a person who they can talk to. But I don't know how successful that is.
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify, by saying first impressions matter, I mean, they matter as in they hold weight, not necessarily as in they matter in forming your eventual judgment on the person in the long term. So I guess in that sense, for people you don't interact with as much, a first impression would matter much, much more compared to someone who you would interact with more and more and more, because you would have a lot more to draw from in order to form a ultimate decision on how you're going to see this person's character, how their personalities and stuff like that. And at the same time, it's nobody wants to make a bad impression. Nobody goes into a conversation saying oh, let me go make a bad first impression. So that alone just proves that first impressions hold weight and that they do indeed matter.
True. But what kind of first impression do you want to make on others? Because you said no one wants to make a bad impression, but then what do you mean by bad?
I would think a bad first impression is something that would affect me later down the line in a way that I don't want it to. So, for example, if I say, I think I'm a good person, okay? I don't think I'm a bad person. Sure. But if I did something really horrible on the first time I'm meeting someone, and because of that incident, this person just thinks of me as a bad or a rude person, for 10 years down the line, without actually giving me a chance to prove that, hey, I'm not you got it all wrong, then I would say that is a bad first impression. So I guess a bad first impression would be me making someone think I'm someone that I'm not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What about you, JC? What kind of first impression would you like to make?
I want to add on to your point of what I guess it's not what constitutes as a bad impression. It's it wouldn't benefit me being in a whatever relationship with you, whether that be friendship or work or like education, like whatever, right? Someone who would be unbeneficial to me and would probably like bring my self morale down is someone that would I think has a bad impression, right? But I think like the impression that I would like to like give, I don't know if I do, because a lot of people have told me I'm very intimidating. Am I intimidating? I don't know.
I've gotten told, like, a lot of people have told me the same, actually. Like intimidating. I don't think you're intimidating.
But I don't know, because I don't know if intimidating is a good or bad thing. Maybe it's just a hard to approach thing. But I mean, I hope that my first impression is like fun, like enthusiastic. I don't know.
True. Like when you said you linked how intimidating was unapproachable, I also got a lot of like, you're unapproachable from people when like they told me about their first impression of me. Because
What? Oh my
yeah,
god.
not intimidating, just unapproachable.
Unapproachable.
Yeah, because I think it takes me a long time to get open and like comfortable around people. Like the first few times I'm with someone, I'm usually very quiet. I don't usually make jokes. I just keep a straight face. It takes me a while to get used to them. So I think first impressions don't really work in my favor in that way. But then I tried to improve upon that. Like coming to LPC, I tried in the like beginning, I tried to make a quote unquote good impression on other people. I tried to talk to them. I tried to like be social. But then I kind of gave up because it was kind of difficult. It's like hard to fake that you're a extroverted and outgoing person when you're not, because you have to kind of put on this face where you're like very social, very outgoing, like this kind of facade. And it's hard to keep up because the more the person knows you, they kind of see through it in some way. So yeah, so kind of trying to still find the balance between like improving upon my introvertedness, but like not faking my persona into someone who I'm not. And I think it's very hard to balance. Do you guys like have similar experiences?
I think it's different for us because we've been in the same school for 13 years. So even if that was the case, that it would have been like our first impression 13 years ago. And then these people have had 13 years to find out who we really are. But then at the same time, because we've been in the same school for 13 years, during that 13 years, it's like, it's a given that we were bound to change as people, like in our values, our beliefs, how we act, what we say. Like us changing within this 13-year time frame is a given. And I think especially for people that you interact less with, they might still be holding on to the idea of you as a person like 4 or 5 years ago, or even like 2 years ago or 1 year ago, without realizing that you're actually a different person now. So that I think is also a problem with impressions. But then in some ways, that's sort of the responsibility of you and that other person as well, to sort of proactively, I guess, communicate with each other and be like, oh, like this is not actually like how I think or how you think anymore. Like, you know.
Oh, I have a story about that actually. Because for our first episode, if you haven't listened to it, please go back and listen to it before coming back to this episode. But after listening to the first episode, someone from RC, not going to name who, but texted me and said, wow, I didn't know Janet was introverted. I always thought she was outgoing, very extroverted. I never knew that she had an introverted side. And listening to like how she thinks she's like a lot of times introverted rather than extroverted, I was really surprised. And that's what I've heard from someone who's been in RC for 13 years, told me that.
Okay.
So what do you think? Why do you think
like
you give that impression to other people?
Okay, so like this person saying this already, like, it's definitely someone who I don't interact with a lot. Like this is probably someone that I interact with occasionally, but not enough that like he or she, well, you said she, right? Like that she will like
Non-specific.
be close enough to actually know how I am usually. I feel like I use a lot of my energy in school. And because of that, people at school will think or assume that I'm really extroverted because, like, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes, like not sometimes, but well, yeah, sometimes I have really short bursts of energy. I can't stop talking, and I go crazy. It's like I'm on a sugar high. But then, like obviously during those times, the life of the party almost. It's like, you know. But then after that peak goes away, I need a long time to recharge. Those recharge periods tends to be periods where I'm alone at home probably, or just away from the spotlight and like people don't even know where I am. Like there are some times at breaks and lunches where I feels like so drained that I don't even like go to the study room or go to whatever. I just like go to the back stairwell and sit on the stairwell alone. Like literally. Like just because I need to recharge. And like obviously people aren't going to know I'm there. So their impression of me is just that I'm always this like high energy extroverted person. Okay, I really want to know who that person is now. You see, this is why podcasts are nice. They get to see another side of you.
If the person listens to this podcast, to this episode,
yeah, if this person listens, then they'll text you.
No, they'll text you.
Me? Okay, yeah. If this person, if you're listening to this podcast, they'll text me after you listen this far. And yeah.
Oh,
JC, how about you?
When Jana was talking about how like we grew up with each other for 13 years, but I feel like when you're in year one, I think you just get along with whoever you're with. It's just that, like I feel like when you're 5 years old, your impression, like I don't remember what I thought of or like how I made friends when I was 5, but I feel like I think impressions probably start more towards like let's say like year 3-ish, 4-ish, right? Because then I think that's when you like start to actually like think for your like, or like you notice like who you hang out with or like who you're friends with. And then I think also like first impressions, I think they still come because like a lot of people from our school came when like in like year 6, right? From year 4 onwards. But I feel like because we spend like, yeah, like we grew up with each other, but because like maybe some of us aren't as close, the impression of what we see them as like when we're like maybe like 12 versus like how they are now is probably different. But I feel like for some people it's the same. like I don't know if you know what I mean, right? Like someone who's always been like that is still like that. And that's like your forever impression of them when you graduate high school. Like
I feel like, okay, there is definitely a couple of people that come to mind when you say that, but then all of these people are people that I never talk to.
Yeah, me too.
So then I think that would also be like a problem. It's almost as if like the impression is like the headline of the story, but you don't actually realize that the story is completely different until you actually read the content of the article. But nobody does that. That's the thing.
That's how clickbait works.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how like everything works. So even the news is like that. It's just like the impression is the headline and like nobody bothers reading like the content. Then you just like never know.
Yeah.
And it becomes a big problem. Like I'm pretty sure some people that I have a bad impression of are probably like really good people now. But just because of that one impression I have of them, I'm like, I never like give them or give myself a chance to actually, make friends with them or actually get to know them.
It's okay. You still have a few months.
4 months. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like, it doesn't even have to be my impression of other people. Like, I'm pretty sure some people still have a bad impression of me that I didn't know of. And the thing is like, the impression is like, it propagates. Like, people gossip. It goes from one person to the other, and that person tells like 2 more people. Those 2 people tell 2 more people, and those people tell more people. And then now all of a sudden there's like a huge group of people that think that way of me, even though I probably never met them before. Like this applies to everyone. Yeah. And it's just like gossip. It's like, like spill the tea. Like that's like the same thing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think gossip doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Like, I think it's good that we talk about each other and stuff. Like, can you imagine if like nobody ever gossiped? We would know nothing. Like, I
That's
wouldn't
such
know
a
when
sad
math
thing.
IA would be due if we didn't gossip. And I wouldn't know like how to post my reflection onto ManageBack if nobody gossiped.
That's
Like,
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Have you ever like had someone where you had quite a strong first impression of, like talking, like as Jana said, like gossip, like it's a very like kind of well spread rumor about this person, and then you have like this kind of first impression of them, and then when you actually got to meet them, they were completely like different from what you've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you do.
I think I can think
Well-
of people who have thought that way about me and then like changed their mind after actually knowing me.
Because we have a friend who I had heard quite a lot of stuff about before meeting this person. Like, and it's not good things. And it's things about like backstabbing, doing inappropriate things. And then at the beginning, I was quite worried when we were kind of had to interact with this person in class. But then after meeting them, it's completely different. Like, I don't know. Like, at least I don't see any traces of what the rumors are saying in this person at all. And I don't know why. If it's because like because each person have different sides when we interact with different people. I'm not sure if like it's like a different side of her, but I really don't see like how the rumor like got spread.
Like, I think that's the thing about rumors, because rumors or like bad gossip, right? Or like tea, or like whatever you want to call it, right? It really only focuses on like the shitty part of a person, right?
It magnifies
like-
it.
Yeah, that's the word. And it doesn't really like, it's not a whole like holistic representation of them as an actual like, individual, which I think also plays into like your first impression, or like whatever. It doesn't have to be first, like whatever impression you have on them, right? Because you heard that rumor, then you think that they are like, you are inclined to think that they're a bad person when they're not, which is I think how rumors work basically, right? And I think like, man, that's just I think that's actually kind of sad, because sometimes like it can get so out of hand that everyone has the same impression of them that eventually like you just don't want to be like what's the word, not relate, like associate yourself with them because of some like one magnified like, you know, trait of that person, or maybe not a trait even.
Like how many people we have like missed in our lives because of this kind of rumor is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that we could have met who are good people, but because of these like social constructs, I guess, because of these obstacles, we're not able to like really get to know them. And it's like the headline thing again. Like no one knows the whole story. Everyone just has that impression of them. That's kind of sad.
And I think that also links to like stereotypes or like the status quo almost. It's like an us them dichotomy. It's like, this is my friend group, and then this is the traits or the impressions that we're supposed to have. And this other group, like this group of like, I don't know, like nerds or like gamers or like whatever. And then it's like, because of this association, like you don't actually know the people in the group, but because this is their arching association that everyone, or impression that everyone has on that group, you never like give yourself a chance to interact with them and actually know who they are. Like there's there's plenty of people in school I can think of that I've never interacted with just because like of whatever association they have.
Yeah, I think those group titles are very strong in RC.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Like, and I think, like, well, not now, because now, like, when you're 13, like, we don't actually give a shit anymore, right? Because we're technically, like, all friends with each other now.
Yeah.
But, like, before, like, you know, you'll find it, like, strange, or you'd, like, question, like, how did this person become friends with this person? Because they're in two separate, like, groups that don't seem to mix well, right? Like, and I think that, or like, you know, like, how are they dating? You know, like shit like that, right? And I think it's just kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah, it's like a social hierarchy. Like I'm pretty sure every school has this, like a social hierarchy. Like you have the popular kids, you have the athletes, you have like the smart people, you have the gamers, you have the loners. Like these are like the typical titles that, I mean, it's not even just RC. Like every school has this.
Yeah.
But I think as we've gotten older, especially in DP, when we've been forced to like mingle with different people in different classes, it's like opened me up to like a lot more people. Like even thinking of like JCA, we did JA, like me, you, Olivia, Charisse, Ankita, Afra, or like even Richard. Like what kind of group is that? Like tell me, what group is that? Like when we started, like everyone was like, what kind of group is that?
Like I think yeah.
As time went on, it's like you get to know these people and you're like, wait a second. And you know, you meet different people and you realize that they're actually really great people that you like I wouldn't have known before. Well, yeah.
And I think because like in Ivy or like in DP, like I feel like everyone's more open to like ask questions or like interact with other people because like we're all struggling together, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, like in math, like me, I feel like I became like closer to Ritika and Ankita because I'm always like asking for help and I like sit near them, right? And now like we talk like quite often. So yeah, like I think like as you grow older, you're actually like you're really forced into a position where you have to sort of where the impression, like the whole like impression thing, it just sort of like doesn't matter to you anymore. Which is what is different than what we said at the beginning of this, where impressions do matter. But I think it's dependent on how like
the type of relationship.
Yeah, the type of relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because if you're classmates, then I feel like it doesn't matter that much. But if like it's someone completely new, like let's say like someone new to school or like someone like new in your like class that you've never talked to before and you have to like work in a group, like that is I guess like sort of a thing, which is where it applies. And yeah,
I think it also has to do with aging, because I read this quote somewhere. I think it was in the show that I recommended in our first episode. And then the quote was like, growing up means that you know how to prioritize things that are more important to you. And that's what growing up means. And to some extent, I do agree with the quote. And I think like as we're growing up, we kind of realize the short time span we have with each other. Like, especially for you guys still in RC, like so many people like who are the OGs have been like in RC for 13 years. And you guys realize that you won't have the opportunity to like for the whole cohort to be together again. Like it's very unlikely because each of us are going to have like completely different lives. People are going to fly overseas. We're not going to meet certain people anymore. I feel like we kind of have this understanding at the back of our minds where we're like, this is the only time we have to like really get to know these people and like really get to spend our last year with them. And I think that kind of also pushed you guys to like kind of break down these stereotypes or break down the kind of impressions we have of each other and kind of get to know everyone on a new level, especially in this year. And I think that's Good.
maturity,
Yeah.
dropping the ego.
That was so wise.
She is a year older.
That's true.
I am. You guys are gonna catch up soon.
Yeah. Did you get your $10,000 yet?
Yes, I did. In fact. Thank you.
I'm so excited to get mine.
Wait, you also get it?
Yeah, I also get it. March.
Aw,
What do you
damn
mean?
it. I'm kidding. Just want you to be special, okay?
Oh, how did you
Jason.
get? You need to get like a form or something.
No, my mom just did the online thing for
right.
me, and then it just got transferred to my bank account. Yeah.
It doesn't apply to me because I think it stops like in March. So
Yeah, I think it's March 31st is the deadline.
man, if only I was born 2 months earlier.
Chris Ho has his birthday is on March 31st.
Oh,
How lucky is that?
that is so lucky. Oh my god. Okay, can we
Anyways,
continue? Do I just edit that out?
No, just keep that
Whatever.
in.
Okay. Well, I'll see.
Should I tell you a first impression I had of Janet back in year 3? So 10 years ago.
Sure. Oh shit, 10 years ago. Don't phrase it like that.
I'm very scared of this, but okay, go on. This is
No, Janet,
okay.
to me, she was always very cool. Like, she doesn't have like a specific friend group. She always like would hang out with different types of people in year 3. And then because me and Janet we become friends because I gave her food. Food is the way to go. That's how you make friends.
It's like if food was the currency.
Yeah, because my mom forced me to eat all my snacks and I didn't like my snacks. So I would give them to Janet every single day. And then that's how our friendship started. And then because Janet was always known for food, I don't know why, but then she had like a nickname called Fan Tong, which is like rice bucket for a while. You still remember this?
I think I remember this.
I don't know why. But then you had this like nickname for a while and then like it just was gone. Yeah, and that's
Phoebe took over. Phoebe definitely fits that nickname now.
yes. Shout out to Phoebe.
Oh my god. You guys are so funny.
For Jacia, to be honest, I didn't know
Yeah.
you that well in primary.
I didn't know you that well either.
Yeah.
Like, I think I didn't. This is gonna sound so mean, or like I didn't actually like, because I feel like when you're in primary, you only know like who you hang out with or like who's in your class. So I
yeah.
didn't really know anyone. So I didn't really know you until like you're
Very late.
kind of like you're
Yeah.
6, 7 ish around that time. Yeah,
I only
because I
knew
think like
you.
that's when I was 4.
I only knew you were friends with Jasmine, and that's how I knew you. Because
Oh, like
I
in
wanted to
primary?
be friends with Jasmine. Because Jasmine was a cool kid in primary. Do you guys remember? Everyone's
I don't remember.
On Jasmine's birthday, everyone's like 10 years of friendship, and then she has photos with everyone. Jasmine was like, I don't know, in my eyes in primary, she was the cool kid.
Oh,
And I'm gonna shade her a bit because I won't let her let go of it. Like in primary, I had no friends in primary. I was the kid who, like in year 1, I sit next to the pole in the undercover area reading a book every day. That was me in my year 1 days.
Aww.
I started to have friends at the end of year 1 to year 2 because I was so introverted. I wouldn't even speak to anyone. Like whenever I would speak, I would like speak like this, and no one would hear me. And then I was like, I'm gonna like not let this continue, and I was like, I'm gonna be friends with Jasmine. But then Jasmine was like, to be my friend, you have to audition. And then
audition?
I'm not kidding. I won't let her live this down. And then she's like, yeah, you have to audition to be my friend. And then like this, she's like, yeah, so like tomorrow lunchtime, just meet me here. And then like, I'll audition you. And then remember what I said about Janet, like my mom forcing me to eat my snacks because I was like too skinny back then, and not now, but like those good old days. And then I was like, I had to finish my lunch. But then eating my lunch took me the whole lunchtime. And I ran to the undercover area at the end of break. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I missed my audition. And then Jasmine was like, oh, I forgot about it. Yeah. And that's how it started. She forgot about my friendship audition. She made me audition and then like forgot about it. And then I don't know how we like resolved from that situation onwards. But that's a fun story.
Oh my
Audition
god, that is so
for-
un-Jasmine like.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's changed so much. See, if I,
To be fair,
wasn't
I feel
friends
like-
with her, I would still have the impression that she was the person who made me audition to be her friend.
To be fair, yeah, people change. And I do like I remember doing some mean stuff when I was younger. But then like I feel like it's just like a phase that you get over. That you don't actually truly like find yourself or realize who you are until after the fact. But wow. Friendship audition. I did not know that.
That is so funny. I'm gonna ask her about that later.
She
Can
doesn't
I
remember.
audition to be your friend? Because me, Phoebe, and Herbie, like we were like best friends in year one. Like year one to year no, it was just year one.
And then I replaced you because I got into the trio.
Thanks. Yeah, because then I think for
Audition
me,
was
like every year,
successful in the end.
your audition. Oh my god. Yeah, like for me, this is like totally unrelated, but like I remember every single year in primary I had a different friend, like a different friend group. Or I would hang out with someone different, which
yeah.
is so weird. Like year one, I hung out with like Jasmine and Phoebe, and year two, I was like with
So distant.
Everything before year 10 was weird.
facts.
Facts. So facts. I feel like I've changed so much these 2 years. It's weird. Like I don't even remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that too from you. You got it so wise. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like I have changed a lot these 2 years. Year one, I only had one friend,
Who?
and he was a Japanese boy called Sota.
Don't remember he exists.
That who was in the same kindergarten as me. That was the only reason we were friends. Sota. I think he was called Sota
Remember.
Sabe or something. Or Sota Sabi.
I
Sabe.
have no idea.
No.
Probably Sabe. Japanese. And then he left after year one. And then
my
from like
friend left
year
too.
2 to like year I don't know, 6. It was like basketball people. It was like the basketball
Yeah.
boys plus Andrea and Beatrice.
I remember
That was like the
this.
basketball group. It wasn't like
remember.
basketball boy, it was
Yeah.
basketball group. And then I gave up on sports. And like I found my people in like year 7, year 8.
Yeah,
And I found new
remember.
people in year 11.
And that is
You guys. Well, actually, I didn't find JC yet, but like I started like talking to JC, I think in year 9 probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I took the train back home, I think.
I don't remember. I think it was just because we were in the same class, right?
Were we?
I think so. 9.2. I remember.
Two?
this.
Wait.
I swear. It was like JC, Jamie.
No,
Yeah, I
it
remember
was. It was. We were in the
JC,
same
Jamie, and then
class.
Jocelyn. I
Oh,
remember year
that,
9 being a really good class.
that class was so
I really liked my year
lit.
9 class.
Terry was in it and he locked the door.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Terry, yeah, I remember.
So
Terry,
fun.
Chun Hei, Nathan was in it. And there was like Jamie, Jocelyn, you, and Kita was in it, I think.
Oh, it was lit. It was
Yeah, that
so
was
lit.
that was such a good class.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of remember it because all the classes were like and then you guys like went to Disney together or something like that, right? Or am I remembering wrong? But remember you guys like went somewhere together and then you guys posted all over Instagram and I was like, how is their class so close? I hardly know the person who sits opposite to me.
Wait, I don't know,
we
but I'm
do
pretty sure
something?
we like the 9.2 group, we did go out, but I don't know if it was Disney. We went out several times. I'm 100% sure.
I mean, okay, so impressions, stereotypes. It's sort of the same thing, right? I guess like stereotypes would apply more to people like that, not like that you wouldn't know personally, but more so like I guess when you think about like like I don't know how do I phrase this? Like when you travel or like
Oh,
if you look
like
at the news or like culture or some
yeah, I
shit.
see what
I
you
don't
mean.
know. Yeah, like so like for example like it says here Asia or like Chinese people are good at math. I'm
That's so
so
not
bad at
true.
math. I cannot stress this enough. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's fine. You're good at math. Like, I am not. I have no genes. Maybe I have the genes, but I don't inherit the genes. Like, I'm so bad at math. Like, even now, I still struggle. I need a calculator to how to fucking calculate a fucking like percentage or
Same.
like, or like 1 plus 1. Like, I have to make sure that it's that answer. Like 1 plus 1
Same.
is 2. Like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. I cannot.
I rely on the calculator way too much.
Yeah. Like, it's so sad. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll manage. But yeah, like stereotypes. I mean,
Like Chinese people are like Asians are smart.
yeah. Or like, like Canadians are really nice, which they probably are. I've never been to Canada. Are they
Yeah.
nice? They are. Right?
Canadians are nice.
Yeah.
Well,
See?
I think it's like the culture. Okay, I feel like this is the thing. I don't think Asians are like smart because they're like genetically like smarter. I think it's just a culture that like makes them like it's like a hustle culture.
Yeah.
So then
it is.
because of that culture, the results are like maybe generally like if you like look at a specific subsection of the population is like better. You know what I mean? It's like how the average like IB score in Hong Kong is higher than I don't know some North
like the world
European
average.
country.
Yeah.
It's like it's not that like Hong Kong people have smarter genes, I feel like. It's just that the Hong Kong culture pushes you to do better. Because like doing better is the only acceptable thing. So everyone strives towards that.
Yeah. Get what you mean. I wanted to say like when you go to like uni, like let's say you're going somewhere else and then you have the impression that that country is like or like the place you're going to is like bad or good or whatever. Like I don't know. Like how do you?
I get what you mean. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
then when you want to travel to a place and then your parents are like, well, like sorry, it's like, oh, don't go there. That place is like sort of dangerous. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I feel like in Asian families, there's this hierarchy for like traveling places.
Yeah.
Like Japan,
think so,
Korea
too.
is like the top,
Oh yes. Yeah.
and then like it's like those Europe places, and then the bottom is like everywhere else. At least that's with my family. That's why I've never been out of Asia because we've been only like traveling in like the top tier places.
Oh my God. Impressions about a place. They're so like. I think it's especially if it's someone you actually have never been. So it's definitely like the impression that you get from either like searching online because you would never truly know until you've been there. Like
Yeah.
even if someone says something about that place, like sure it sounds very good, but you won't know. Like for me, for example, like okay, so I'm debating to go to 3 places for uni. I've been debating about this between myself for like a week now. Okay, I have like a long way to go, but I've asked multiple people, and I'm still like looking on like let's say like Reddit or like looking at like reviews of like the unis, right? And like I still don't know where I want to go because of either like a good or bad impression, and like I feel like just generally bad like would. Do you think bad impressions stick more than good impressions? Because for me, when like let's say like I'm reading a review online and I see like one bad review, then like I automatically think that university is bad or like it's like not as good as I thought it would be.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
people like to hold on to like negative things like stick out more. That's why like the news only reports about like negative things because like that's the only thing people cares about. It's like you don't ever see news like, oh, plane landed successfully at Chetlapkok Airport at 12:01 p.m. Like nobody ever reports that shit because it's not interesting. It's not interesting unless it's like something bad.
Yeah.
So then it like
Yeah.
makes you think that the world like everything around you is like it only amplifies the bad things, and then like everyone gets like really sad, and everyone like the atmosphere gets really really tense, and then everyone's just like sad and depressed and annoyed. It's so annoying. Like
I feel like we just take the good things for granted. Like your example,
Yeah.
like we don't really think about it unless things go bad, and then we like
yeah,
pay attention to it.
100%. It's like there's so many good things around. It's like I'm like just thinking about my plate, like my like where I live, and there's so many good things about it. Like I can press a button and the toilet just flushes on its own. Like how great is that? Can you imagine living like 200 years ago and you had to like shit in a fucking like pipe or like a hole in the ground and just cover it with soil? How sad is that?
Yeah. I think that's just the way of life, probably. Like that's just how it is, you know. Like like you really don't realize like what you have or like what's around you until like that thing is gone or like it's some bad shit happened to it, you know.
Do you guys think you've changed? Like I've talked, it's like I've repeated almost every episode that I think I've changed a lot. But do you two think you've changed?
Definitely.
How?
I mean, as I mentioned before, in year one, I literally wouldn't talk to anyone. I was by myself in the corner reading a book. And then now I think I've changed in a good way, I hope, where like I'm getting more open. Because in kindergarten, since kindergarten to primary, I've always only had one friend throughout kindergarten. I never had any other friends. And that's the way it has been. But I feel like throughout primary, I learned to kind of make friends and interact. And tying back to our topic, like I've learned to kind of improve my first impression on others. I try to like go out of my way a bit to like be more open and welcoming instead of like just being silent. And I think that that's one of the ways I've improved, like more outgoing and like, I don't know, just making myself more approachable. But I've still been told that I'm unapproachable, so maybe still got to work on that.
I guess I also think I changed. I would hope so. Because I think throughout, I guess in primary, I wasn't like that open to go. I was like shy, but in the way, like, I don't want to like get judged by others, so I don't participate in like certain things. But I think as I grew older, I've learned to just do things that I want to do and do them for myself or to like benefit others or like myself. Okay, I did house captain, right? Or trashing or like shit like that. And I feel like because I was able to start doing things more openly and like making more connections, you know, networking, like shit like that. I would like to think that I've changed to be a more outgoing person or like a more active person.
So we've been talking for a while now. So should we wrap this up with our recommendations?
Oh yes, recommendation time. So exciting.
Who would like to go first?
I can go first. Like, talking about that we take the good things for granted just now made me think of a book that I read like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I think it's quite good. It's called Factfulness by Hans Rosling, like the geographer who made like the Bubble website. What's the Bubble website called? MindGap? No, Gapminder.
So.
Gapminder. It's a good book. It makes you realize that the world has actually improved a lot more. Like the world is a better place than you think. And I think that's a nice it's a nice way to think of the world, that it's a good place despite its flaws.
Okay, I'll go next. So recently I've been like really invested into the singer. The songs are in Chinese, but he has some English songs. The singer is called Zhou Shen, and his voice is like you've never heard anything like it. Like it's just so smooth and so like captivating. Zhou Shen or Charlie Shen, and all his songs that like he like posts are really good, and he also sings a lot of covers. So you guys can go check that out.
My recommendation is a Netflix show that I love watching. It's called Busted, and it's this Korean, it's a scripted show where they solve mysteries, but they actually try and solve them. Like so imagine like an escape room, but on a much larger TV production scale, which has like amazing plot. And it has 3 seasons, but only like 8 to 10 episodes. But each episode's like an hour each. And it's worth the watch because it's so freaking funny, but it's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's the end of the episode today.
Thank you guys for listening.
You-
If you made it this far, make sure to check out more of our podcast episodes. Yeah. And look forward to an episode every Saturday, possibly.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see about that.
Okay,
Bye.
goodbye.